please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's AntManUK here. Hope everyone's doing well. In my last video, for you guys who didn't manage to watch it, we looked at my Lasius Niger colony, as well as how close she was to hatching her first batch of workers. We also talked about future plans and setups, so if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend that you go and check it out before watching the rest of this video. Thank you. So guys, in this video we're going to be looking at my first worker ants of my Lasius Niger colony. As you guys can see in the video, you can see her first worker ants have finally hatched. These are really tiny. In fact, they're more tiny than the average worker ant. They're always a lot smaller. Their job now is going to be caring for the queen and helping with further production of eggs. Later, these eggs are going to mature into the fully grown worker ant that we all know. Later on in the video, guys, I'm going to be showing you the first worker ants tending to a pupa stage worker ant. But first, let's talk about caring for our first worker ants and their job role within the colony for the time being. You may have caught some worker ants during the nuptial flights, and you're in the same situation as me. You have your very first worker ants. This is a very exciting time for both new ant keepers and experienced ant keepers. But now you might be asking yourself the question, what do I do now? If you are asking yourself this question, it may actually be a good time for you to learn how to take care of the first worker ants that have emerged. Your first worker ants will need some source of food, water, and something else to give them a bit of a special energy boost. Now, I know some ant keepers who haven't helped their first worker ants and managed to raise successful colonies, but we want to increase the lifespan of our first worker ants so that they can do their job correctly. To help the first worker ants, it's always a good idea to make sure that the test tube setup has enough water for the entire colony. If your water is running low, there are a few things that you can do to refill the water. Using what I like to call a pipette, you could fill this with fresh water, open your test tube setup, push it down into the test tube past the cotton wool, and fill it back up. This will help to fill the empty space and provide your ants with some fresh water. This method sometimes can be difficult, as the workers may try to escape. However, if you are feeling confident in doing so, why not give it a try? Another method that I like to use, is quite old-fashioned, is the cotton wool that you use for stopping your ants from escaping. Is you take it out and you dip half of the cotton wool into some water, and then you place this back into the test tube. This provides the ants with a source of fresh water. You may have to do this like every couple of days because the cotton wool will eventually dry out. However, there is a final option, which would be to move your ants into a new test tube setup. This is good, especially if you have any mold in your current test tube. Attaching a good sized straw between the two test tubes and using cotton to block off any other escape routes, this will allow you to move your ant colony over into the new test tube. Keep your new test tube in the dark, and eventually your ant colony should move over. Please make sure that if you are using a straw or tubing, it is big enough for your queen to move over into the new test tube. Once the ant colony has moved across, the best way is to take a fresh piece of cotton wool and seal the deal and seal the test tube back up. Okay guys, depending on the species of ant that you are keeping will depend on what they eat, but we can all agree that our ants need a source of protein. What I tend to use is freshly killed small crickets or mealworms. Best way of doing this is dropping them into a pan of boiling water. This kills the insects really quickly, as feeding live insects to your first worker ants, they're going to struggle to take down a live insect. Also, this will run the risk of killing any workers, and it could seriously injure or kill your queen ant. Place the food inside the test tube setup once you have killed it, and let your ants have a good feast. You may also witness that your queen is feeding. After all the work that she has been going through, she's going to be very hungry. On a side note, proteins are very important for the queen to reproduce eggs. Without proteins, the colony will actually struggle to grow and mature. At worst, this could mean the death of your queen. Also, it is important to remove any leftover food or waste to prevent mold from breaking out. If you want to give your ant colony a bit of an energy boost, you can use a bit of secret serum. Using a drop of honey or sugar water will help to give your worker ants and your queen a bit of an energy boost, a bit of a kick. They will, of course, thank you for this sweet treat. Okay guys, now for the cool part in the video. So we have our first worker ants, and their job now is to take care of the queen ant and help raise the next batch of worker ants. Here in the video you can see the tiny workers attending to a pupa stage worker ant. You can just make out its eyes, little black dots, and a claw like jaws, also known as mandibles. Mandibles are the perfect tool for ants, for eating food, tending to the colony, and defense against intruders. These ants are now caring for what I call the next generation of worker ants. Once these guys emerge, they're going to be a lot bigger than the first batch of worker ants. Anyway guys, I'd like to ask you all, how are your ant colonies doing? Do you have any first worker ants? If so, what species do you have? Leave a comment in the comment section below. I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week, where we'll be checking on how our Mesobarbarus colony is doing. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. AntManUK.